para mas maaga, and then I'll just remind you later. For next week, since you're about lesson 6 na kayo today, so for lesson 7, for our week 7, you will create etching. So you will need colors, and I highly suggest oil pastel for that. So it will be more pigmented. So you will use different colors, and then you will top it with a black crayons, and then you will scrape it. Have you done that before? The etching, yung color black, and then, or have you tried play with some paper with black covered, and then you will scrape it, and then pag in-scrape mo siya, may iba-ibang color underneath.
I've seen
Have you
only
tried
one
that?
picture.
Yeah, I'll just show you a picture. Just give me 1 second. And let me know if you have etch, etching. Something like this. Oh, wait. Next. So, it will consume our time. Ganito siya. Ganyan,
What?
So, underneath, you will color it with different colors, and then you will top it with black color. So, we will create it DIY, do it your own. So, you will have, or you will be needing different colors. Crayons will do, but since it is not that pigmented because it's wax, again, I highly suggest to use a pastel, oil pastel. Para solid, the color is more solid. And para din pag black, mas maganda yung lapat niya sa tape. And then you will be needing toothpick as well for next week. So for today, yeah. So good afternoon, kids. So today, this is our 6th week. So for today, we will tackle and we will discuss the different coloring materials that we have. The most common coloring materials that we use when we're creating an artwork. So the title of our lesson is Crayon Magic: Unleashing Your Imagination. Again, we will tackle, or I will introduce you, or matatouch down natin the different types of coloring materials, but we will focus later on crayons. Okay? So, coloring materials, we do have 4. What do you think are the coloring materials that we will be discussing? Jaisel? Okay, very good. How about the others? Any idea? You can give one. You can only give one. Yes. What's your name po under Karen? Sorry. I forgot your name na. I'm sorry. What's your name again? Sorry po. Andres? Okay, Andres, yes. Po. What kind of coloring material is that? Okay, pwede. Good answer. How about yes, Lira? Okay, thank you. Very good. How about the others? You have any idea? Nabanggit na ni teacher kanina. It starts with letter C. Okay, Ambriel? Yes. How about the other one? The one that we use with water and brush. Um, Let me check. Mm-hmm. Okay, pwede. Yeah, it's paint actually. So overall, it's paint. So color, acrylic paint or watercolor. Okay, so yeah, all of your answers are all correct. So we do have crayons, colored pencils, color pastels, and paints. So again, we will just matatouch base lang natin yung ibang coloring material, but we will focus on crayons. So crayons, what do you think crayons are made of? Any idea? Okay, good point. How about the others? Do you have any idea what it is made of? Your crayons? Yes, Lira, you have any idea? Okay, okay. Okay, thank you, Lira. So, crayons, it is a stick of pigmented wax used for writing or drawing. So, crayons basically is made of wax. So, if you notice, when you put it near the fire or hot, it will just melt, right? Because it is made of wax. It's like a candle. Candle is also made of wax. So basically it's like a candle, but the difference is it's more pigmented and it is usually used for writing or drawing. So when you use it, you can see, 'di ba, medyo shiny siya. It's shiny. Shinier compared to other coloring materials you have. So the next one is colored pencil. Do you have colored pencil? Okay. So for the color, okay, thank you. So for the colored pencil, it is an art material made of a narrow, pigmented core encased in a wooden cylindrical case. So it is like more similar. Okay, thank you, Andres. Yes, that is a colored pencil. So as you can see, it is most or it is actually usually similar with your pencil, but the difference is, of course, your colored pencil, from the name itself, it is colored because your pencil is only color black. But with the color pencil, it is pigmented. It is usually, or the outer part, it is made of wood, just like your pencil. Okay. So for this one, next is our color pastel. So who among you has color pastel or have used color pastel na before? Yes po. Yon. You have color oil pastels. Yeah. Yan. So, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a color oil pastel. Wow. Okay. Yes, that is an all color pastels. So the color pastels, it is an art medium that consists of powdered pigment. It can exist in a variety of forms, including a stick, square, pebble, or a pan of color. Through other forms are possible. So usually, the shape of our color pastel is like crayon. Crayons, it is in a stick form. But some of the color pastels are square, pebble, or a pan, or it difference. Different types, I mean, different shapes. It depends. It really depends on the manufacturer, but usually, of course, it is usually in a stick form. And actually, color pastel is usually called oil pastel because it is a mixture of oil and powder. Because when you noticed, if you use an color pastel, if you glide it on paper, it can be easily smudged. If you like it, the yellow orange. Yes, it is easier to mix oil pastel compared to crayons because oil pastel is softer because of its materials, which is powder and oil. So that's why uh I highly encourage you to use a an oil pastel for color etching because that is easier to glide, and that is softer, and it will give you a more solid color compared to crayons. So since we're done now with the color pastels, let's proceed now with the watercolor paint. So the watercolor paint, have you used watercolor paint? Have you tried this one? Color paint. Yeah, but Oh, it's actually an acrylic paint. It's not that. So yeah, if you we have lesson actually that is focused on watercolor paint. So I'll ask you actually to do it. I do understand that some of you is not a fan of watercolor paint, but yeah, for you to love it, of course, we will have to explore how to use the color watercolor paint. Okay? So for this one, for the watercolor paint, it is a painting method in which the paints are made of pigments suspended in a water-based solution. So from the name itself, watercolor paint, so it is usually made of powder lang. Actually, yeah, powder. Pressed powder. It's like eyeshadow because it is pressed. Because of the pressure, it is like one chunk of, nakita na ba kayo ng eyeshadow? Ganun siya. Like a pressed powder, ganun siya. So unlike with the oil pastel, the reason why oil pastel is easier to use because it is mixed with oil. So kapag inline mo siya, yun na yun, as is na yun. But with the watercolor paint, for it to be for it to be used, we have to dilute it or we have to use it with water so it will be suspended. So, magiging ano siya, pigmented siya. Kasi kapag brush lang, pag ginamit mo siya, walang lalabas na pigment. So next one is the acrylic paint. So this one is what you are referring to, Jaisel, the one that is on the container po. It is a fast drying paint made up of pigment. Most acrylic paints are water based but become water resistant when dry. So once you are a professional painter, now usually they use acrylic paint. We do not encourage yet you kids to use an acrylic paint because it has a learning curve. So meaning, kapag nag-acrylic paint ka, once you do it, there's no turning back, hindi na siya tsaka medyo mahirap i-control or there's a learning curve when it comes in using with a brush. Because when you use it, it will just like create a texture. So kapag hindi pantay or you're not used to using a brush, medyo hindi okay. Pero as far as I know, we have actually a lesson here that is also focusing on acrylic paint, but I will have to check on that. Yes, Porira, you have question? Later, it's not actually painting. It's just you will only use crayon. So crayon lang. Next night pa tayo magpipainting. Okay po. Ano yung embryo? Are we going to paint? If it is no marker, the acrylic markers, it won't be the paper. It is it actually depends in the acrylic, but most of the acrylic paint, if it is paint, it depends and actually on the material used to create an acrylic. But of course, if you use it in your like if nalagyan kayo sa hands nyo or sa katawan nyo, since it is water soluble, you can just easily rinse it. But pag sa paper na or sa cloth, usually ang acrylic, it is also used in cloth. Yung mga canvas, nakita na ba kayo nun, yung mga canvas na may cloth, na tela yung gamit instead of paper. So, kapag natuyo siya doon, you cannot rinse it anymore. It will took you time, it will take time for you to rinse it. So, ayun. So, we have, aside from these, coloring materials, we actually, marami pa tayong variety of coloring materials. We have markers. Yes, that is also considered as coloring materials. Ano pa ba? Yeah, a marker, crayons, yeah, mga paint, different types of paint, marami. I have friends in architecture na they're using different types of coloring materials. So, but for now, since you're a beginner, of course, we will just focus on the most common coloring materials that we have in the market, which are the crayons, the oil pastel, the acrylic paint, watercolor, and the colored pencil. And that is also easier for you to use because you can just control it compared to the other materials or coloring materials rather. Okay, so since we're done with the acrylic paint, we will go proceed with the tips for coloring with crayons. So for this one, don't be confused on this one. Don't worry, I'll be showing you a video later on the tips of coloring with crayons. But for now, I will just discuss it to you before I show you the video, okay? So for the tips for coloring, so for the tips with coloring using crayons, number one, the very first tip is always color in a consistent direction. So as you can see in this one, if you color or if you begin in coloring or start coloring your artwork in horizontal direction, you should do it along the way hanggang matapos siya. Kasi the problem with our crayons, once you color it in different direction, manonotice nyo na mapapansin siya agad, di ba? It's very obvious if kalat-kalat. Na, have you tried that one? When you use crayons and then iba-ibang direction, di ba? Medyo noticeable siya. Very obvious kapag ganon. Later, I'll show you a video on gaano siya ka-obvious. So this is the example of an artwork using a crayon. As you can see, hindi niya ma-notice or you cannot see where the color begins and where the color ended. Because it is colored or the artist or the one who draw or colored this one, colored this fruits in one direction. 'Di ba? One direction lang siya, ganyan lang. So, ayan. More on horizontal lang. Hindi siya halata. So, tip number two is consistent pressure gives a uniform look. So, with this one, we have discussed already last time the value. We're done now with that, di ba? Yung value, the different pressure. Of course, if you apply more pressure, of course, it will give you a darker color. And then if it's a light pressure, of course, it will give you lighter color. Okay? Gets po? But later on, you will understand it more once you saw or once I show you the video. So this is the example. Consistent pressure, as you can see, this one, the color is evenly distributed because the artist use a consistent pressure. Hindi makapal, hindi manipis. So ganyan siya. Usually, yeah, dito. Sa crayons, medyo tricky siya. Medyo you will need to exert more effort or hindi effort eh. You will need to be more careful in using crayons kasi sa crayons medyo mahirap siya i-blend or i-smudge, but when in oil pastel just like this one, even if you will apply a lighter pressure in some areas, but since you have or you can easily smudge it, it can easily be evenly distributed, just like this one. So tip number three, a variety of pressure creates emphasis. So this is what I'm talking about. The value, di ba, yung lighter to darker shade depends on the pressure applied. So this one, of course, in the darker shade, let's always assume that more pressure is applied, and then hanggang mag-light siya, of course, the lighter the shade, the lighter the pressure you're going to use. This one. Diba? As you can see, there are parts of these fruits na medyo emphasize yung color in some areas, most especially in the corner areas or the outline areas. While in the middle area to create an ombre effect, it is lighter. Next one, the tip number four is overlap colors to create a blended look. So as you can see in this one, we used a different color and then it's just blended out. So it is easy to do this one to overlap colors if you're using a watercolor, but also you can apply this with the crayons with a good technique. So you can just practice and practice to create this one. So I'll show you a drawing that shows blending of different colors. As you can see in the road, 'di ba? the yellow and orange, I think it's orange, or yeah, orange, brown, and yellow, it is well blended to each other. So you cannot see where the yellow or the brown ended, where the color brown is ended, because it is well blended with each other. So next is color outside the line sometimes. So eto, medyo confusing to in your part. So usually our teachers or your teachers will tell you, do not color outside the lines, always inside the lines, di ba? But there are times that you can color outside to for more creativity. But of course, laging i-apply yung mga tip, yung mga naunang tip, which is we will apply we will apply consistent pressure if you only want, or if you only want to have a solid color. But if you want to create an ombre shade, of course variety pressure creates emphasis. And then also always color in consistent direction. So this is the example of coloring outside the lines. So as you can see, usually we do this, 'di ba? It's just inside, but in this one, 'di ba? One direction lang siya, pero maganda pa rin siyang tignan kahit lagpas siya. This is what I'm talking about regarding with coloring an artwork using a crayons in different direction. As you can see in this one, patchy. Medyo patchy yung color niya. It's not evenly distributed, or it is not evenly colored. So to avoid that, anong gagawin to avoid this one? Color it in one direction lang. Okay? Okay, so for before we have our activity, I will ask you to practice muna. No, sorry, I'll just show you a video muna pala. Give me 1 second. Lang. Kasi na yung video. Ito.